everyone. It's lovely to be here in Bangalore, and that was a great panel talking about experiential learning. I'm going to talk a little bit more about career counseling and the need for it, which I'm sure that a lot of schools see. And I know the pandemic has been a slightly difficult situation. We found parents to be in asking a lot of questions and what's really happening with the higher education, whether it's in India or outside. So I'd like to share a presentation here. I'm going to talk more about keeping up with the dynamic career landscape. And as I move along, I'm going to give a slight introduction about myself and about my co-founders. So this, why career counseling, why, outcomes, why focus on all of those things in terms of higher education was something that came to us over a period of time. I went to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, did my computer science and economics. So I had a dual major. Post that, went and worked in investment banking for about 7 years. Went back to Columbia for my master's. And when I was graduating and I was working through my steps, I figured that I want to also focus on impact. So I started working with a venture capital company more towards social impact investing. And there my partner's wife had 5 schools, and she was really struggling with having a dashboard where she would have all the information in one spot. And we said, okay, how hard is it? Let's try and start working on something. And this was back in 2014. And so I had one of my co-founders, a very close friend, who completed his master's in computer science from Stanford, said, why don't we get in and start helping out? So we built a dashboard that helped her control 5 schools in 5 different countries. One of them was in California. After we completed that project, and we did that within about 6 months, we saw the engagement levels increase. We saw, especially if you're in the California district system, you need to be able to meet your outcomes for the amount of aid that you're going to get for the school. So we went from 5 schools, we met the California district system, went to about 21 schools, and then by the end of 2 years, actually 2.5 years, we were in 21,000 schools. And they adopted the entire dashboard and the system, the learning management system that we had built, and they said, can we have it all? And we said, this is exciting because we were able to make that change really happen. And so that's where we came up with this, because we were working with the schools and we realized that we need to have a system which is going to be outcome-oriented, impact-focused. And so that's Kevin, my other co-founder, who I went with to Michigan, and Chirag, our technical co-founder. So question that I have for you all here, and it would be great to get some hands to understand this. How many of you have mentors? Just maybe a show of hands. How many of you all believe, and how many of you all have mentors? Great, wonderful to see that. Thank you. Does your child have a mentor? Do you think it's important for your child to have a mentor? Yes. Great, fantastic. As a school, do you think your career cell has everything that it needs right now to be able to enable, empower your students? Do you think that you have all of it? Yes. Do you feel that you have everything that you think you need? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging. I think that, we all need to acknowledge that there are things that can be improved. And I'm going to get to this question that says adequate resources in-house, including teachers, counselors, training, and I'm going to go through this with you. So I'm going to show you this, which is what is the career landscape now? What is really happening, right? So I'm going to share with you the number of Indian students opting for foreign higher education, and then the growth that is within the Indian institution system for higher education. So Indian students and their parents are now increasingly willing to pursue unconventional paths of higher education. But for schools, college admission have always remained an afterthought. I still believe that there's a lot more that can be done. I believe that it's not just foreign education. I feel a lot of students are still considering the landscape here. And the number of institutions that College Board offers the SAT to has moved from 10 initially to 53 universities in India. And I'll get to the part of the standardized testing, which was made optional, but now has increasingly got focus. So again, we're saying students want help in figuring out a career path. They want help to keep their options open. Parents are willing to support the children's decisions. They're willing to spend on the child's education. Schools, some of them do have a program. That's great. You'll have counselors, you'll have a program. But have you audited it to see, is it good enough? Is it something that, do you need to do more for it? Right? This is a great time to think about that, because the landscape is going to change year after year. So let's see what college admission ecosystem is like. How is it evolving? And what are the gaps? So I could see growing competition, growing complexity. There's an information overload. We're more technology reliant. There's a tuition-first approach. What is that leading to? Higher interest among students lead to higher competition in desired schools. The admission processes are constantly changing. Availability of information, but lack of awareness. And when I say this, just having a career fair in the school is not enough, right? How do you identify that these are the schools that you need to map? What are the questions you need to ask? There's so much more to it. So there's a high degree of reliance on just plug-and-play technology. There's a culture of tuition to drive this whole college approach. And that's creating stress and anxiety, and we're losing sight of the process. So what does the competitive landscape look like? We have coaching centers, we have counseling agencies, there are tech enablers at schools. I'm not saying that any of these are good or bad. I'm just saying there's just too much that your end user has to deal with. And is that the right way? Is that the right approach? So we have more templatized programs, there's limited involvement, there's lack of batch level visibility, there's low human involvement. What we are looking at and what is the need of the hour is a more strong human capital approach, a hybrid one-stop support, and an integrated approach to reduce dependency on plug and play. So you need a more online and offline approach. You need both of these. Yes, it's hard today. So I know many of you might know about IC3 as a program that has been running for involving counselors, or schools can actually send a counselor for an IC3 program. But that's also not very easy. I was talking to a school that said, I sent 11 teachers and only 2 of them passed the program. So how do I have a counselor, or how do I make sure that the counselor is going to give enough of their time and dedicate to actually understand all of that that's required? So here we are. What we want to do is assess your optimal career needs, help you plan and execute and audit your process, and then even provide enhanced teacher training, right? So whether it is helping them go to an IC3, get the focus, we're there for that as well. We're happy to provide any interest as guidance, partnering co-curricular activity programs, so mapping using multiple intelligence. So we would also run the psychometric test, work with your students, whether you have a counselor or you don't have a counselor, we're here for you. We would even help you set up a scholarship fund, Olympiads, university fairs, inform your students, provide application support. So there's a dashboard for that. I'll show you the dashboard also. And then there's, of course, mentor access. So we have 200 plus mentors from deep industry backgrounds. This is a case study of a school that we worked with. This was a problem statement. They were confused in the curriculum, dealing with worried parents, assisting students with subject choices, deciding teacher hiring retention strategy, or minimizing transfers to other schools. We tried to understand what is going on with them And we started working to evaluate the infrastructure aligned with the school management. And what you will see is we used an approach, a 3-step approach, which then extended to a more a developed approach. So we see key changes. They added an arts and design subject to their curriculum. They introduced clubs and activities which were not there. Multiple intelligence theory was actually used to map these activities. Awareness about programs, but that's just not enough. There's a lot more that needs to be done. So this is the glimpses of the dashboard that we have, and it's integrated so that if you have a counselor, they would have a dashboard, the student would have a dashboard, you have all the data that gets mapped right from grades 8 till 12. And we help you with the admission process to 12 plus countries. And Mary, who's right here also, she would be happy to talk to you more about this. Our stall's right at the back. Mary's been an ex-principal at Ryan International School. So any other questions, she'd be happy to take them. Wonderful talking to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to invite Mr. Preetam Kumar Agrawal, founder and CEO from Hello Kids Preschool, to felicitate and award to Dhaval, sir.